Good morning. This is Crystal Woods with Seasons in the Vine, and it's Fresh Friday. And today I'm going to talk to you about two very important things that you can do when trouble comes knocking on your door, which, if you're anything like me, happens all the time because, well, we're human and we live in a very fallen, broken world with 1,000 different variables at any which time could all come crashing down. Trouble is a guarantee. Tribulation is a guarantee, but we do not have to freak out. And I want to talk about the importance of, in those first moments when trouble is knocking on your door, when that happens, what can we do to shift the situation? And so it is something to be practiced. It is something to be cultivated. We do not do it perfectly, but we can do it progressively more often. I believe that. I believe we can grow and mature. And so I want to use two examples of kings, actually. So the nation of Israel splits into two kingdoms at some point in their history. The details of that aren't necessarily important to what I'm saying, but they have this history. Israel and Judah, the two different parts of the nation, have this history of like really crazy kings and awful kings and idolatrous kings, and but every once in a while they get one that is kind of cool and gives us a really great example for at least part of their life, because sometimes they don't always stay the course. But the two kings we're going to talk about today are Jehoshaphat and Hezekiah. And so I'm not going to tell you their whole stories. You should definitely just read them. I actually came upon this Fresh Friday idea this morning because you guys know that I am currently in a study of Isaiah. And I was reading through the problem that King Hezekiah had when a massive army was coming against Israel. And so what I really want to point out is that when Hezekiah heard what the commander had said, he did some things. So when he heard that there was trouble coming, okay, because we're going to have trouble. We know that. Jesus tells us that we're going to have trouble. But we're not supposed to be freaking out, right? Because God's not freaking out. Jesus is never freaking out. We don't have to freak out. We can learn how to navigate troublesome situations. And so I want to look at Hezekiah, and it says, when he heard what the commander had to say, he tore his robe, put on sackcloth, and went into the temple of Yahweh. And so this is Isaiah 37 for the full story. You should definitely back up a chapter or two. Nope, just one chapter. And then read on through there. Great story, phenomenal story about the power of God and the faithfulness of God. But that's not what we're focused on today. So what he did when he heard the trouble was coming, when there's a knock at the door, when there is an injury unexpected, when there is a sickness, car accident, paycheck, loss of job, something goes wrong, trouble is coming, unfaithful spouse, troubled child, it could be anything. When that happens, when trouble comes, what do you do? And King Hezekiah gives us this really great example. Now, we don't have to go around tearing our robes, but really that's just a symbol of distress. Like, I am broken about this. I am upset about this. Tore his robe, put on sackcloth. That's a way of just saying, like, I'm serious before you, God. Like, I'm going to put on this itchy stuff that's going to drive me crazy because it's going to remind me that I need to be on my knees and praying. And he goes into the temple of Yahweh. And so what he does first is he's like, it's on. And he goes to the temple of Yahweh. He runs to God. Later on in the story, I think it was this one. Hold on one second. Yeah, same chapter. So down at 37:14, when he gets another message that, trouble is coming, he reads it and immediately goes into the temple of Yahweh and spreads out this message of destruction to the Lord. He lays it out there. We are going to be annihilated. He makes it very clear what the trouble is, right? God knows, but man, it is powerful when we can just lay it out on the altar of our hearts, of our minds. We're not going to push it away. We're not going to pretend it's not happening. We're going to fully acknowledge this is trouble. And we're going to say, I need to give it to Yahweh. I need to give it to the Lord. And he lays it out right before God. And he says, let's see this. Hold on. He says, "O Yahweh, commander of angel armies, the God of Israel, you are enthroned between the wings of the cherubim, and you reign supreme as God all over the kingdoms of the world. For you alone are creator of heaven and earth. Please lean down and hear my prayer." Don't you love that? And so he's making a cry out to God. And so that's what we see. He acknowledges he's distressed, and he gets in a position of humility. He's tearing his robe. He puts on the sackcloth, and he goes to the temple of Yahweh. He's going to be pressing in to the presence of God. He's going to get really close, and he's going to lay his problem out and ask God to hear his prayer. We know that God is faithful to not only hear his prayer, but then completely deliver the people through a miraculous way. For time's sake, you got to read it yourself, but it's awesome. That's Isaiah 37. The second king I want to look at today, because he does something, he has just this amazing prayer. And for some of you that are churched, maybe you've heard this before, but with King Jehoshaphat, so now I'm in 2 Chronicles 20, he's getting ready to be attacked, and bad things are coming on him. And it is 2 Chronicles 22, I think. Yes. And he says, I don't know what to do, God. I have no idea what to do, but our eyes are on you. And I love that it says here, even in 18, then Jehoshaphat bowed his head with his face to the ground, and all of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem fell down before the Lord and worshiped him. And there's this posture of, I have no idea what to do, and those are his words. We don't know what to do, but our eyes are on you. That is super powerful. Actually, so the verse for that is 2 Chronicles 20:12. For we are powerless against this great horde that is coming against us. We do not know what to do, but our eyes are on you. And then they fall and they worship the Lord when they hear about his deliverance. And so we can't wait when trouble comes. I guess that's what I want to impress upon you the most. Like when the enemy attacks, or life just happens, because we live in a fallen, broken world, and trouble is here, we cannot spend time freaking out, because we're wasting time. That's a waste of time. We get real with ourselves and God that we're in trouble. We cry out. We go into the temple, we press in. And when I say temple, clearly we're not going to go walk into the temple. The presence of God lives in us. So we're going to press in to that presence. We're going to cry out to our God and ask him to help us. And we're going to acknowledge that we have no idea what to do. I have no idea what to do with this, but my eyes are on you. And in that, we are submitting ourselves to the authority and to the sovereignty of Yahweh, of God, saying that you are not freaking out, and you never, ever, ever are, even if we want to, and even if we do. And the faster we can get to that place of saying, trouble is here, I'm crying out to God, well, the more mature our faith will continue to be. In all of these situations in the Old Testament, the Lord does what he's going to do. And in these situations, in particular with Jehoshaphat and Hezekiah, we have this amazing, miraculous story of deliverance. But I love their posture. From the very beginning, it's markedly different. And that's what you and I need to grow in. When trouble comes, this is exactly what I do. I don't spend half a day or a week freaking out and filling myself up with fear and anxiety and angst. Not that that wouldn't be reasonable. It's not unreasonable in a human way. But when we want to grow spiritually, well, then we're going to be applying different practices to when trouble arises. And so I just wanted to give you those two examples. Cry out to God, lay it out there, lay out the trouble, put it right there in his presence. Cry out to God, and then acknowledge that you do not know what to do, but your eyes are on him, and you're going to be listening and watching to see what it is he's going to do and what it is he wants you to do in the trouble. And let's talk it up. Like if you have experiences in your life where you have done that, like trouble has come and you have fallen on your face before the Lord and asked for the help and there has been deliverance, share those. And if not, and it's something you want to begin to practice and you have something really tangible come out of it, spread the news, share it, because there's just something in that quick obedience, not the delay. And I'll pray about it after I've exhausted every other avenue and every other effort. Not going to work. Not for people of faith and not for people that want to be mature in their faith. And so that's what I propose to you today. 2 things to do when trouble comes a knocking. First, get serious about it and cry out to God, laying it all out right before him. And then second, acknowledge that you have no idea how to fix what's going on, but your eyes are on him. And in that, we position ourselves for him to move in the way that he desires. And so I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you remember this. I hope the Holy Spirit will remind you of this when trouble comes, big or small, and that your response would be immediate, and that mine would as well, and that we would hear the trouble, see the trouble, and we would immediately turn to our God, who is faithful to deliver. He is rescuer, redeemer, and restorer, and we can be confident of it. Be blessed, and I will see you next week. Bye.